All right, good morning. This is Jeff Orrock here at the National Weather Service office in Wakefield, standing in for Katie today, who's on some travel. So we'll kind of get right into it here. A little bit of weather expected this week. Nothing too extreme, but just a few things to probably be aware of here as the week unfolds. And I'll go ahead and get into our highlight slide here. There we go. So main thing today is temperatures, obviously going to be around average, nothing too concerning there. No heat waves coming. The one thing we'll talk about is we do have some dry and breezy conditions. It's not super low humidity, but it is going to be getting a little bit windier. And so we're going to have to watch out for our fire danger, especially for it this afternoon. And really Tuesday is probably the biggest fire danger day this week. And so we'll talk about that a little bit here. Do have another chance for rain later on this week. We basically Wednesday night into Thursday. Every event we've had so far, the models have tried to predict, more rain than actually has occurred. And then, the day before, the day of, the models back way off. So we'll see what happens here. But we'll talk about the precipitation chances for Wednesday night and Thursday. And of course, we have the ongoing drought. And so weather-wise, I'm just looking at the weather maps, and I like to step through them. So I'll just pull them over here so we can kind of just step through the whole week. So for today, this is what we got going on today. We have high pressure offshore, cold fronts way up here over the Great Lakes. And so right now, any kind of precipitation or any kind of sprinkles are going to be really in the far west. It could be a little rumble of thunder there. That little brown line represents a little bit of a weak troughiness over the mountains in the west. So it could be a stray shower, but nothing too concerning. And high pressures offshore giving us that southwest wind. And so that southwest wind might increase a little bit here this afternoon. As we get into later this evening, you do see the kind of the pressure gradient, those lines. They'll tighten up a little bit over Virginia, so that's that southwest wind. But right now, we're just kind of in between weather systems. By tomorrow morning, really a lot of the same. High pressure still offshore, but now the front is starting to sneak a little bit closer, getting down into the parts of the Ohio River Valley. Starting to see more showers along that front as well as it pushes south. There'll be hopefully some moisture coming up out of the Gulf. You'll be able to kind of interact with that, and we'll get some showers ahead of the front. But for us on Tuesday, again, continued southwest wind, maybe becoming a little bit breezier. This is Tuesday evening, and by Tuesday evening, you see how those lines get a little bit tighter across Virginia. I used to call them isobars. And so that's going to increase the wind Tuesday afternoon as the front gets down into, parts of western Tennessee and Ohio and Kentucky. As that front approaches, that southwest wind is going to kick up ahead of that front. And so this is Tuesday evening. So we'll have to watch out for those winds. By Wednesday morning, maybe a few little scattered showers here in the western part of the state. Front's just slowly making its way towards us, just not quite here yet. But then by Thursday morning, the front is starting to make its way across the mountains. Notice how it's got this little wave of low pressure along it. So hopefully maybe that can help generate some rainfall. And this little wave is going to track kind of across parts of central and southeast Virginia as this front pushes through. So hopefully Thursday will kind of be our rain day. That's Thursday morning. But then by Friday morning, you see the front's gone. So our window of opportunity really is going to be Wednesday night and then through Thursday, and we'll see how much rain we get. And then high pressure kind of builds back in. When you get into Friday, Saturday, maybe just a little bit unsettled, but nothing too significant. Just a series of cold fronts trying to come through. Small chances of rain. And then next weekend, still high pressure kind of back over us. But these occasional fronts will keep us from getting too hot. Occasional frontal passage there. So this is just kind of looking at, any chances for severe weather. So there is no severe weather expected at all. Today, there's a very low chance of a stray shower, maybe a rumble of thunder in the west, but this is pretty low. Not too concerned about that. Wednesday, especially Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, might be able to see a thunderstorm, here or there, but again, nothing severe. Shouldn't be really too much with it. Probably going to be mostly rain, but could be a few little thunderstorms around, but nothing severe whatsoever. So I want to, before we talk too much about precipitation, I do want to talk about the wind. And so this is kind of our maximum wind gust forecast, for the week. And you can kind of see, it's pretty much 25 to 30 mile per hour just about everywhere, a little higher when you get into the higher elevations in the mountains, a little stronger wind. And really, if you look at the winds today, for the most part, southwest about 15 to 20. But then you look at tomorrow afternoon, and you see a lot of our cities across the Commonwealth pretty much solidly 20 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts, and a few getting up into the maybe even low 30s, especially as the afternoon progresses. So that afternoon until about, I'd say 6, 7 o'clock in the evening could be pretty breezy. Not expecting really low humidity with this because it is a south wind, but it is going to be dry. and the humidity levels, they'll be low enough where the fire danger is going to be concerning. So we're going to have to watch out for that. It bleeds a little bit into Wednesday here too. See, Wednesday's still pretty breezy. Hopefully with Wednesday we'll get more cloud cover. Maybe there'll be a little bit more scattered showers around, but we'll see. But right now we're really focused on Tuesday, and there's an index that we use. It's called hot, dry, windy. So it works pretty well. It gives us kind of an idea based on percentages and probabilities, looking at the dryness, the humidity, the wind, what our probability, what our risk might be, basically for fire. And you do really see. I'll kind of zoom in here a little bit. You really do see how a lot of the Commonwealth is lighting up for tomorrow with the hot, dry, windy index starting to kind of get up there. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. I think we're going to coordinate with the Forest Service. It could be an increased fire danger day. Looking at the hot, dry, windy index right now, Tuesday is the highest threat as far as that is concerned. So we're really focused on tomorrow afternoon. But you see that index is pretty good over a good bit of the Commonwealth as far as this hot, dry, windy index. So something to definitely take note of. We've seen a fair number of brush fires popping up here and there, just because the ground is so dry, the fuels are so dry, and we're not getting a good soaking rain to wet our fuels. So again, something we're going to have to watch out for, really keying on tomorrow right now. Could be a few issues this afternoon, but the index is definitely highlighting Tuesday afternoon and early evening as of right now. So that's probably one of the more significant threats that we're going to be looking at here this week. Looking at the rainfall, let's hope this happens. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But looking at the rainfall going all the way through, at least through Thursday morning, looks like maybe a quarter to a half inch. In fact, this doesn't even conclude what may fall on Thursday, so we may add to this a little bit on Thursday. So some places where we're kind of hoping we get over half an inch, maybe even across parts of Central Virginia and Southeast Virginia, because this only takes us through Thursday morning at 8 a.m. And it's going to rain, all day Thursday, hopefully, in some locations. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, looking at the timing of it, you see Tuesday is dry, but then we do have some chances of at least some light precipitation here on Wednesday. And again, that's why that fire danger is a little bit lower. At least conditions are more humid, even though it's going to be breezy on Wednesday. But places in the west, like Winchester, look like they maybe see a little bit more rain. Out towards Wise County tomorrow, Wednesday, might get a little bit more rain. Same thing with up and north with Fairfax, may have some better rain chances on Wednesday. But most of us, it's really Wednesday night, Thursday. That's where most of us see our best chances of rain. And again, it's going to continue on through Thursday at 6 p.m. In fact, I think the next map here, this kind of splits it here, but you see here the map here on the right it splits the event Wednesday. The one on the left takes us through Wednesday night. So you see the bulk of the rain in the western part of the Commonwealth coming through Wednesday night, and then it kind of slowly shifts east Thursday, and Wednesday night and Thursday shifts to the east. So we'll see how much rain we get. Hopefully we can get a good half inch in some locations, maybe 3/4 of an inch. If I look at the models right now, this is kind of a neat tool that we can look at, say, if folks really want to see some rain. So this gives us a probability of seeing different rainfall amounts. So what you're seeing right now is a probability of getting a half inch of rain, and this is for the entire event. This takes us all the way through, basically 8 p.m. on Thursday. And again, it's really the southern half of the Commonwealth, western part of the Commonwealth, kind of running up here through Roanoke, Farmville, maybe Richmond and Eastern Shore. From that line south, that's where you have the best chance of seeing maybe a half inch of rain. Once you get north of that, Northern Virginia up towards Luray, coming down through Harrisonburg, very, very low probability once you get north of Richmond that you're going to see a half inch of rain. So maybe enough to get the ground wet. Maybe you get a 0.2 of an inch, but a really good soaking rain, again, looks like it's going to be more likely further to the south. Now, what's the chance that you might see, an inch of rain? We'll just kind of update that. Not going to be very good anywhere. See, the probability of an inch of rain, it's a very low probability, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance across far southern Virginia, southeast Virginia, you might make a run at an inch of rain. So, hopefully we'll get a good soaking of a half an inch. But again, it's not everywhere, and a lot of times the models have backed off on this the closer the event gets. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But this may not be a statewide, soaking, decent rain event. It may only be for the southern half or southern third of the Commonwealth where we see some of the better rainfall. So we'll stay tuned and we'll see how that plays out. Just looking at the temperatures, for the rest of the week, with the southwest wind, and we're on the warm side of that cold front, so really temperatures are pretty warm today in the 70s. Really going to be getting into the 80s just about everywhere tomorrow again. So with that heat, low humidity with the wind, that's really going to bump up that fire danger for tomorrow. That's why we're concerned about that, and that is the hottest day this week. Still warm on Wednesday, just maybe just a few degrees cooler in some spots because it may be more cloud cover. Maybe get a few more sprinkles or light showers in the west, so that's why you see temperatures just slightly lower. Cold front sneaks through on Thursday, and so we drop back down a little bit into the 60s. Friday's still a little bit cooler, and then we warm back up again as we get into the weekend, back into the 70s. And again, best chance of rain here on the right, you kind of basically see Wednesday night, and especially Thursday is really our best chance of rain. Lingers a little bit into Thursday night. That's why you see it here on Friday. And then after that, we're just back to some really low chances as you get into early next week of rainfall. So we still do have the drought going on, obviously. We've been pushing this. This will be updated again later this week. So the entire Commonwealth, for the most part, except for far southeast Virginia, is in at least a severe drought with extreme drought, over portions of the area. So we'll see how much, if we can get some beneficial rain to maybe improve conditions, at least over the southern portions of the Commonwealth. We'll see what happens. This is our 30-day percent of normal rainfall. So again, this is continuing to increase. So or however you want to look at it, decrease. But anyway, we're seeing basically the dryness really starting to spread. And there's a large portion now of central Virginia where you see the red here, where we're 10 to 25% of normal rainfall. And everything in the orange is about 25 to 50% normal rainfall. So areas in red, I mean, we're seeing less than, 25% of the rainfall that we should be experiencing over the course of the last month. And the rest of the Commonwealth, probably only 30% to 40% of the rainfall. So that's why the ground's crispy. That's why when you look at the stream flows, this is the stream flow map for the Commonwealth. So, what are our stream flows looking like? Incredibly low. So, all of the dark red dots are much below normal. And then all your bright red dots are getting into all-time lows for the day. So very, very, very low stream flows out there, again, because things have been so dry. Even the 60-day precipitation departures are 50% or more below normal. So just a long dry spell here that we've been working our way into. We are getting to the point where it's going to take a significant, widespread, big, heavy rain event to get us out of this drought the more we get into it. So it could take a tropical system this summer to actually break this drought if we continue on this path. That it's going to take a lot of rain, several inches over the course of many days to get us almost maybe, at least somewhat out of this drought, because we just keep working our way deeper and deeper into it. Looking at the soil moisture across the Commonwealth, I mean, incredibly dry. I mean, the percentiles are down anywhere from 0 to mostly, let's say 0 to 5% across most of the Commonwealth. A few areas where we've had some recent showers, you see some of the more oranges, but in that 5% to 10% percentile. But again, it's ground's incredibly dry. You can go walk out there. It's crunchy. We all know it. The fuels are very dry. And so we're just continuing to kind of dig this hole here right now. This rainfall is, even the rainfall we get, it's not going to be super beneficial on Wednesday and Thursday. Just it'll wet the fuels, but the ground is incredibly dry right now. Looking ahead, getting a little bit further out in time, getting out, May 9th to 13th, the 6 to 10 day outlook. But you saw in the weather map a series of cold fronts coming down. And so it does look like the temperatures are going to stay, I say normal to maybe slightly below normal. So we are going to continue to see these routine fronts coming through. Doesn't mean we're going to see a lot of rain. It could actually increase the fire danger because it gets breezy with these fronts. But it does look like we're going to be below normal temperatures. Precipitation, I take this with a grain of salt. They're showing that there's a probability that we'll be above normal precipitation. We'll see how that goes. The models have been overdoing the rainfall lately, so I'm thinking some of these climate predictions might be overdoing it. Looking at some of the climate models as well, so we'll see. We may be closer to near normal, but I don't know. We'll be hopeful that we'll be above normal precipitation, but I wouldn't hold my breath. The pattern isn't super wet, so we'll see what happens there. And this is just a space weather. Things looking pretty good out there. No geomagnetic storms or anything there to be concerned about. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.